Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this rendition of Speak Your Mind with Larry Cox. And I want to thank you all for joining me this evening, as usual. And it is great to have you. And we're going to start by saying hello to you lovely people who have joined me in the chat this evening. And I've always appreciate every one of you who joined me. Excuse me, on the chat. So let me start off by welcoming Michelle Freeman, Mary Boysworth, William Campbell, Justin Kinney. Justin, hope you enjoyed your trip to the mountains. Clayton Orwig, nice to see you in here tonight, Clayton. Marie Withers, Catherine Lynn, CJ Lester, Cheryl Moulton, and Navuka Russo. It is great to have you guys join the show tonight. Voices for Rockdale, Miss Corliss Turner in the house tonight. Thanks for joining tonight, Corliss. Guys, I want to just appreciate. Like I said, I really appreciate my loyal listeners. I really appreciate the regular audience that we have each Sunday. And without you, there could be no show because it it wouldn't be any fun for me just to come on here and listen to myself talk. Even though a lot of people think I like listening to myself talk, uh, not the case. I like having conversations that are two way. I like engaging in conversation, and that's one of the good things that I like about this format is the chat feature. I really love the chat feature. I really love that the audience feels comfortable enough to engage me in this platform, and I love engaging you back. So thank you, everyone. And I think we're going to talk about a topic tonight here in a second that I think a lot of you are going to want to engage on and discuss freely. But first thing I want to do is I want to talk to you about something that was near and dear to me. So you guys know when I ran for the Board of Education, I talked about visiting schools, and there were a couple other things that took priority over me doing that the first couple of months. Worked through those things on the board and got around to start doing school visits. And I'm just telling you, I was just so happy to be able to go into the schools and see the things that I was able to. First of all, on the board, we hear presentations all the time, and they talk about these programs and these teaching tools that the teachers and the students use, and they're interactive, and we hear about them. But the only one probably on the panel there that actually really has a good understanding, besides the superintendent, is board member Jones, because she's a teacher, so she understands um, those things. And it's good to have an educational expert on the board, just so you know, it really is. So Miss Jones is able to, when they talk about those acronyms and they talk about these teaching tools and the interactiveness, she knows exactly what they're talking about. But it was good for me to be able to go to a classroom and observe these elements, these things in their element. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interaction that I got to have with the teachers and the staff, the principals. So I went to one school. They had career day. That was exciting. I went to one school. They were making a garden. And George Kelichek, who just joined the show. I think Mr. Kelichek is going to actually assist with that garden at Memorial Middle, because I think they needed that thing plowed up. And I think George has the right equipment to do the job. That thing that we know in the construction industry, right? In the construction industry, there's equipment that can do the job, and then there's the right equipment to do the job. So when you have the right equipment to do the job, you don't struggle, and the job gets done correctly. And sometimes you can get by and use a piece of equipment to do the job, but you struggle. But it's great to know that Mr. Kelichek is going to go over and help out on that project. They're going to have the correct equipment, and they're going to get that job done properly. So kudos to you, George, and thanks for always being there to step up and help when needed in this community when it comes to things like that. So, just great to have people in this community who are always willing to step up and do the right things. Uh, Also, I was able to go to the Rockdale Career Academy this past week. Miss Smith Swaney's class did their presentations, and where the kids presented their where they did these research projects, and it was just fantastic to see the due diligence and the research and the just the time that these kids these young people put into these projects, and just the knowledge that they had, and just the ability to convey this information verbally. I was very impressed with those young folks and those projects and what they were able to do. It was very. It's the second project. It's the second one of those events I've went to. I went to one last year before I was on the board when I was running for the board. So it was great to be invited back to the second one and to be able to see all that. Like I'm saying, it was just an exciting. And we had a board meeting this past Thursday, and I talked about um, going to do the school visit at the board meeting. I told you all guys I was going to do a special presentation, and then also, Justin talked about the hometown hero um, presentation that we did to individuals who had graduated from a Rockdale County public school and then have come back to work at a Rockdale County public school. And we've had people who had graduated back since 1971 all the way up to 2021 who have uh, came back to be employees in the Rockdale County public school system, showing that commitment to our community that they're homegrown, that they are hometown heroes, and it was a great thing, and that was the idea of our board president, chairperson, Sandra Jackson Lett. So I want to thank Sandra for coming up with that innovative idea. And it was just a fantastic night that night, and just so much pride in the county, and so much pride with the employees that were able to be recognized, and just the pride that they have that they've come back and they are serving and giving back to their community. It was just a great night. I'm really excited about the progress that I see with the Rockdale County Public School System. I'm excited about what I see with our superintendent, Miss Chesser, and what I think she brings to the table, and the ability that she does. I'm just excited about the whole thing, and I'm looking forward to what we do in the future here in Rockdale County in the school system as we move forward with change, and then just promoting the positives that we're doing. Now, do we know that there are challenges in the school system? 100%. There's challenges in every organization. But the key to it is to recognize you have challenges and come up with a plan to improve and work on those challenges. And that's where I see the difference with this current board and Ms. Chesser. I see this board and Ms. Chesser recognizing the challenges and tackling them head on, and that it's refreshing to see. So that's what I see, and that's my little report into that. And then Justin, you made a great comment. Miss Chesser is a force, and I 100% agree with Mr. Kenny regarding that assessment of Superintendent Shirley Chesser. She is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I'm glad that force is on my team. That's what I have to say about that. So let's leave that segment, and I think it was a positive segment, and I think you guys, I hope you agree with me. I do want to give you a little thing. My town halls, I've not forsaken all that. Just put that on pause a little bit while we work through some things. So I want to let you guys know that I do intend to have a town hall in July after the school year, after we get through graduation. I do intend on having a town hall after this school year ends and before the new school year begins. I think that's the perfect time to have a town hall, and I'll be promoting that as we come near it. And I think you're going to be excited about that because we'll be able to talk about the past and then talk about the future. So it'll be a great time to have a town hall right in between the end of the school year and the beginning of the next school year. So let's all look forward and stay tuned to that announcement as I will have another town hall in July. And then after that, I think we can get on a regular town hall schedule after that. And I just appreciate you guys just showing patience regarding that as I worked through navigating becoming a new board member and just navigating my first half a month because I'll have been on the board 6 months at that point. And, I do feel comfortable being on the board, just so you guys know. I do feel very comfortable being on the board. It's something I believe I've prepared for. I do. I don't think there's anything that I'm surprised about. I did my homework, and I prepared. I prepared to win that election and be serving you, and the preparation paid off, and your support paid off. So again, thank you. So let's move on to the next segment. What we're going to do is I went to yesterday. Representative Rhonda Taylor had one of her town halls at the library, which she has a series that she does on the last Saturday of each month. And it was very, a well-attended town hall. I enjoyed the information we got on the legislature. It was a legislative update town hall on legislation that had went before the legislature, some things that had passed, some things that were introduced and stalled, and just explaining the impact of some legislation also. So what I want to talk about tonight is, I think, the most impactful piece of legislation that has been introduced in Rockdale County in a long time. And that is going to be Senate Bill 238. And Senate Bill 238 is the legislation that would expand the Board of Commission and eliminate the CEO chairman position, make all the commissioners part-time, adding to additional from 3 to 5, and implementing a county manager to run the day-to-day operation. I know that some people are upset that this would be at large and initially instead of by district. But again, Representative Taylor stated yesterday at the meeting that she intended to, once this passed in November, either the governor signs the legislation, vetoes the legislation, or doesn't sign it, and it moves forward. Two ways it moves forward: the governor signs it, or the governor doesn't sign it. So, and the governor has until was it May 17th, I believe, to sign the legislation or not. So or is it June? It's June 17th. June 17th. So if he signs the legislation, it's law. If he doesn't sign the legislation, it's law. If he vetoes it, then you go back to the drawing board. So, there's how that stands. And I know some people are upset that that the legislation didn't get introduced with districts, like Miss Taylor, Representative Taylor, had introduced it the previous year, but Senator Anderson felt that it needed to be introduced as districts. But Representative Taylor has stated this gets through, it passes in November, she will offer an amendment to the legislation the next year to make it districts, which will be what we all wanted. And as I heard yesterday at the meeting, there would be no objection from any of the local delegation to do that. So when if this legislation moves from the governor's desk one way or the other, either signed or unsigned, passes in November, then next January, Miss Taylor will do that, and we will get that piece made it to districts, and then we would vote on that the following November, so that or we could do that spring, and then and we could shift, those districts before anybody takes office. And the Board of Education is at large. And that's one of the reasons she said, because all Rockdale County was a total at-large county. You do have counties that have certain things at large and certain not. Alex says he doesn't believe, and I do believe that promise, Alex. That's something we'll have to differ on. The only way they could get the legislation done this year was if Senator Anderson introduced it, because it was blocked from being introduced from the House, and Senator Anderson believed that she wouldn't introduce it that way, but said if it does pass, she will not object to it. And Representative Taylor, she has kept her word on everything that she said that she would do so far. So until Representative Taylor goes back on something, then I would have to side with her and believe that she will keep her word. So when she goes back on something, then we'll see. But I don't think she's going to go back on this. I believe this is exactly what she'll do. This was a way to make this happen. I think it's the right way to make it happen. But I want to talk about something else about this, right? So let's talk about the fact that this legislation was introduced, and it's a ballot initiative. So Alex, if you don't want it this way, then which you're going to, I know, just like I'm going to campaign for it. We campaign to the citizens to vote in November to vote it up or down. And I believe the citizens have the right to vote something like this up or down. But our Board of Commission doesn't believe that the citizens have the right to vote things up and down. Yes, Alex, it will be easy to do next year, but Senator Anderson would not introduce the legislation. She has never been in favor of it, but she had agreed to sign on to Representative Taylor's legislation if that would have been able to be introduced, but it wasn't able to, because Representative Carter didn't want to do it, because she didn't think that everybody understood that it was going to change the form of government, is what she said yesterday. Representative Carter stated she has never been against expanding the board. She's just been against she's been against changing the type of government. She didn't want to do a county manager, basically. But Senator Anderson felt that since Rockdale County was not a districted county, that it shouldn't be. But Senator Anderson has stated she will not fight a change to the legislation if it is passed, and will sign on to an amendment when Representative Taylor brings it forward. So there are compromise when you do these things, and this is a compromise. So next year, during the legislative session, I firmly believe Senator Anderson will sign on to it, and it'll happen. So that's what it goes. But it comes down to this: whether you believe the way Alex does, or you believe the way I do, right? And like I said, and time will tell whether we're right or wrong. But my point that I want to make is that 3 people on the board of commission do not have the right. 3 people on the board of commission do not have the right to say that 100,000 people don't have the right to vote on a ballot initiative. This is the same thing that we talked about when Oz Nesbitt, Sherry Washington, Doreen Williams were our 3 commissioners. We discussed we didn't like the fact that we voted as a community to reject the $140 million bond, but they found a way to circumvent us through the PFA, the Public Facility Authority, to get their bonds anyway without us voting on it. And I don't think there's a person in this room who was not happy that you had 3 individuals to wash out our vote and do that. But I'll tell you, I know I'm talking about the PFA right now, right? So that's what we're talking about, right? Is we have the right as a community to vote that up or down. 3 people shouldn't, and this is again, I made this comment at that meeting yesterday, and I firmly believe this. Whether we would have had 3, whether it would have been 5 commissioners at large or by districts, I believe if we would have had 5 commissioners, we would not have a war zone in Old Town Conyers right now. I don't believe that we would have this courthouse administrative complex being built right now if we would have had 5 commissioners. I believe the votes wouldn't have been there. It would have been stalled. We could have built a courthouse over 2 SPLOST cycles with SPLOST overages. So I'm going to let you know something about the SPLOST, right? They said, first thing they said, and Alex will recall this, we can't use any money from the SPLOST for a courthouse because we won't have fire services. We won't have police services. The first thing they did was took $20 million from SPLOST to jumpstart the courthouse project. Took $20 million from SPLOST, right? Then they went and raised the mill of $1 million to get another $20 million to have some money to be able to afford to issue their bonds. So they jump started themselves $40 million once with a $1 million increase, and then with the $20 million SPLOST thing, right? 2 SPLOST cycles, and Charlotte, yes, it is 12 years, but we would have been able to do half of it this cycle, half of it next cycle. The overages right now, we are averaging $722,000 a month over estimated collections. That is little over 60 some million dollars that we are projected to run over. That would have been over 40 million of that would have went to the county. So in 2 SPLOST cycles, that would have been over $80 million. If we would have done a project, not in Old Town, outside of Old Town, that would have been plenty enough money. And we could have got revenue bonds, real revenue bonds, not pretend revenue bonds, real revenue bonds that those 2 SPLOST could have covered and paid that off. And guess what? We would have built a courthouse, and it would have been debt free. A courthouse, and it would have been debt free. That's what would have happened. We would have built a courthouse, and it would have been debt free. That's the strategy that we could have used. Alex, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think Rhonda's getting played. You and I can talk in private. Things that are that I know that I don't want to talk publicly about as to why I don't think she's being played. But I don't think she's being played. I do believe this is something that would happen and will happen as far as that goes. So I think, but even if I think 5 at large is better than 3 at large, because I actually sit on a board that is over 3, and I see the advantage of having the larger board. Um, and uh, it's you've got to work to get a coalition when you've got a larger board, and it's a lot harder to do that than it is to get one person to go along with you, and that's what we see now. We see one person going along with another person to do that, and they're doing that right now. They're doing that very same thing right now. But like I said, when when we look at this, it comes down the exact same thing that we didn't like. Three people circumventing us when we voted 70% to not issue $140 million worth of bonds. They found a runaround with the PFA. We're now having a board send a letter to the governor asking him to veto a bill because they didn't think that they were notified properly, or they didn't have enough time they were notified. Well, on January the 8th, there was an ad ran in the Rockdale Citizen notifying all the citizens this legislation was going to be introduced. Last time I checked, that those three members of the board are citizens of Rockdale County, and they were notified that. And then also, if you guys remember, we had Chairman Van Ness tell us, well, don't introduce the bill this year. Give us a year. Give us a year to prove ourselves. Give us a year to prove ourselves. She knew the legislation was coming because she'd asked for a year to prove herself, right? She'd asked for a year to prove herself. And I'd had that conversation with her, and many of you had that conversation. So to say that you didn't know this legislation was coming is disingenuous. And it's playing that same kind of game that the previous chairman used to play with us about that wordsmith stuff and that education nonsense, right? We just ask, please don't do that and insult our intelligence, because we all knew this legislation was coming. Then we hear, well, the question's never been asked. Everybody's never got asked the same question to be able to answer it the same way. Well, I believe that this legislation, which is a ballot initiative, would ask the same question for everybody to be able to answer. So if your argument is we've never been asked the same question, that's a foolish argument, because this legislation offers everybody the same question. Am I misinterpreting that? No, I'm not. If the citizens of this county want 5 commissioners, and this version says at large, they can vote yes. If they don't, they can vote no. But it should be up to the citizens of this county to vote yes or no on that, just as it should have been up to the citizens of this county to vote yes or no on those bonds that were issued to build this courthouse. And they did vote on it. They voted no. The board didn't like the answer, so they found a way around the citizens with this jacked up PFA thing. That's exactly what happened. So now the board doesn't like the fact that the citizens, that's you and I and a lot of other people, went to our legislators and asked them to introduce this legislation. They did it upon our behalf, and now we get the chance to actually vote it up or down. It's our decision to vote it up or down, yes or no. I had a long conversation with several people that are on the SPLOST committee now. I had conversations with people that are in government now about what I just talked about the SPLOST and the debt-free courthouse, what we could have done. And Alex, you and I both said we both worked to try to defeat the SPLOST a few years ago to give us breathing room. If we would have defeated that SPLOST, then they would have had to put it on the ballot again in another year, and it would have delayed the PF. It would have delayed all of that, and it would have put us into this election cycle, and we would have been able to delay this whole thing. But we weren't able to do that. We 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 just didn't, I believe, start campaigning early enough on that SPLOST. And then they got out there with messaging that we were going to destroy the county. We wouldn't have fire services. We wouldn't have excuse me, police service. When and I don't and to my fault, I didn't explain well enough what I wanted to do and how to do it. It was take SPLOST overage money to pay for the courthouse that I wanted to build with SPLOST over 2 SPLOST cycle. Yeah, so right now where they are averaging $756,000 extra a month over what they estimated they would get for SPLOST for the county. $756,000 a month. That's a lot of money. $60 million over your estimate is a lot of money, right? And you can't say that that money was something that you had allocated. You can't say that that money was something that had already been spent. You can't say that that money would harm the police services or the fire services or parks and recreation, because that money is money you did not count on having that you're going to get. So, so we were all taken to the bank in a bad way with that, guys. So, I mean, there's where, you know, I think, you know, we all need to, you know, to just look at that, right? And realize, you know, that we need to realize that we need to pay attention to what's going on. And I do know this also. I do know Miss Corliss Turner has sent an open records request to ask for the letter that the Board of Commission has sent to the governor, asking him to veto the legislation. And I do know that it had been confirmed to some citizens that all 3 commissioners did sign this letter that was sent to the governor to ask the governor to veto a piece of legislation that would give you the right to decide your own fate at the ballot box. Again, 3 people asking the governor to take your ability to decide your own fate away from you. Vuko, Ms. Russo says, our county is now under emergency. We desperately need bigger business ASAP, but it seems to me that they are not interested in bigger business too much. You know, I think they did promote that we've got a Sprout grocery store coming to Rockdale County. Clayton Norwig, SPLOST overage, a weird problem for our small county. Tell me about it, Clayton. Tell me about it, right? So that, you know, this is the deal. You know, it just amazes me, right? And you'll have people that'll tell you point blank that when I was talking about this, they knew I was telling the truth, but they were telling people that I didn't know what I was talking about because they didn't want it to sound like a credible idea when they actually knew it was feasible. Again, I've talked to other elected officials. I've talked to members of the SPLOST committee who all will now admit it was a very feasible idea and an idea that would have worked. And it's an idea that would have had us pay for this tax free, right? Tax free. I mean debt free. And we right now, this county is in such financial strait. that we can't borrow anything. If we wanted to buy a pack of Bazooka bubble gum on credit, we can't. If we wanted to take a loan out to buy bubble gum, we can't. We don't qualify for a loan anymore. That's ridiculous, right? Totally ridiculous. It is actually ridiculous. Yes, Bill, we have splossed overage on every single splossed. And it depends on what the estimate was as far as what the overage is. And I'll tell you right now, we need to pony up, and we need to tell everybody enough is enough. We want our voice and we want our say. And George, want to go George Kilichek. I want to talk about what George said a minute ago. I want to find that here and put it up here. George, great idea. The Board of Commission could do the right thing and send a letter to the governor and retract their letter. Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? Retract that letter. No, we don't want to take your vote away from you. We don't want to take your voice away from you. If it's your decision, it's your decision, and we'll live with it because you're the voter and it's your decision. But no, let's just take the decision away from you altogether so that we can keep our jobs and keep our assistants. And we really like it being 3 commissioners because it's easier to get things done because all I need is one person to go along with me. And daggone, you make that board bigger, and then what happens is, and I got to really fight and explain and really justify everything I'm doing to get people to go along with it. Man, how inconvenient is that to actually have to do your job? I'm just telling you that, well, it's what I have to do, what Justin Kinney has to do. We're on a 7-person board, and it takes 4 of us to agree on something to make something happen. And that's no easy task. I'm just telling you right now. And when it's something that's a little controversial or a little divisive, to get 4 people to go along and have the same mindset, a little bit difficult. And it would be the exact same thing with a 5-person board. It would be the exact same thing, whether it's at district or at large, exact same thing. But we will have it by districts when this plan comes together. I do think that, and I intend on promoting this in November when it's on the ballot, because I believe it will be on the ballot. I believe the governor will let this come through because I think Governor Kemp's fair guy and realizes, I really shouldn't take the vote away from people, and and if he's thinking about running for the United States Senate against Mr. Ossoff, I don't think he wants a veto like this on his record moving forward in a Senate election against Senator Ossoff. When Republicans are out there talking about not taking people's voices and freedom of speech, and people have the right to their opinion and they've got a right to speak. And then the Republican Party says it's the party that doesn't repress your vote, that, they want every legal vote to happen. Well, these are legal votes we want to happen. So pony up and do what you preach. We say that we believe in every vote counts and every vote matters. Well, let's let every vote count and every vote matter. Let's not take things off the ballot. Let's not restrict the citizen's ability to decide things at the ballot box, because it's your right and my right to decide things with ballot initiatives. Once we've asked our legislators to bring these things forward, then that needs to happen. That's what I think. And that's what I believe we need to do as citizens of Rockdale County. Yeah, the letter writing campaign. I 100% agree that we need to send letters to the Board of Commission, to like George Kilichek said, to to ask them to repeal the letter. Let's repeal this. We want to retract it. We don't want you to even pay attention to it. Then we also do a letter writing effort to Governor Kemp. As citizens of Rockdale County, we want our right to vote on this matter. We asked our legislators to actually introduce this legislation, and now we ask you to let us vote it up or down, because it's our right to vote this up or down. That's the way I see it. And that's what I believe should happen for us, the citizens of Rockdale County. So that's my spiel and my take for tonight, guys. I have talked long enough. And Charlotte Gellert, their veto letter is not public, no, but I do think that as a open records request has been asked, and we will be getting that. And when we get that, I intend to publish that on the Speak Your Mind network. And I'm sure that there'll be other people that'll publish it on their Facebook pages and social media accounts. And I will show that letter live on the first show that I broadcast once that letter becomes available. I will show that letter to you, the citizens, so that you know that that's an actual letter, and we will see what the wording actually was, and we will be able to say definitely that all three commissioners signed it, because this is what we do, right? This is exactly what we do. We verify and we let you see it. If it happened, we're going to let you see it. And if you don't want people to see maybe foolish things that you've done, then think about it before you do something foolish. That's the advice I give anybody. Think about it before you do something. If it might be foolish, then don't do it. That's what I think, right? So, guys, I am going to get off of here this evening. I have spouted long enough, and then Charlotte says if they refuse to give the letter, that says a lot. It does say a lot if they refuse to give the letter, doesn't it? Well, they shouldn't be able to refuse to give the letter, since we'll see what happens, right? This is going to be an interesting little development, right? But let's see what happens. It is going to be interesting, right? Let's see what happens. But I'm going to get off here tonight, and I'm going to let you guys go back to your Sunday evening. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on the show tonight. I want to thank you for indulging me as I was able to get on my soapbox tonight and talk to you about my personal opinion regarding this matter, and what I intend to do as a citizen regarding this matter, because at the end of the day, we're all citizens. Our opinions and our voices matter, and your voices matter. I may have disagreed with some of you tonight in some of the things you said. And I may have even mentioned I disagreed. But one thing is you got the right to have your opinion, and you had the right to say it on this show, because I will never restrict your right to put your opinion in this chat, because I believe in universal free speech. Now, there's a consequence to everything we say. There's a consequence, but you got the right to say it, and you can say it on this show. You can say it on this platform. So again, thank you, everybody. I appreciate the commitment that each of you have for the issues that are going on in this county. I thank you for your commitment and your just the ability to watch this show, your commitment to sponsor this show and to give it a platform. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for everything that you do for Rockdale County, and not in the sarcastic way that somebody used to say it whenever you would come up and give you 3 minutes. I really do thank each and every one of you. So good night, And I will see you guys next Sunday, 8 p.m. on this show on YouTube